In this video, we're going to talk about the SOLIDWORKS certification exam that deals specifically with advanced surfacing and the types of things that you need to do in order to prepare for that exam. Now, if you're taking your SOLIDWORKS certification advanced surfacing exam, that means you've already passed the SOLIDWORKS certified professional exam. So this means you have most of the basic knowledge of SOLIDWORKS modeling under your belt already. When we talk about advanced surfacing, there are several different topics we need to consider, not just a single topic such as creating a surface. You have to go all the way back down to dealing with sketches and creating those very robust and easy to adjust sketches that have good curvature. We talked about that earlier on in this series. So you need to deal with things that SOLIDWORKS mentions specifically, as well as a whole host of other topics. So you need to be familiar with spline creation, 3D curve creation, boundary surfaces, filled surfaces, swept, planar, knit, trim, and untrimmed surface, move face, extend face, fillet, and thicken. Now these are just a small segment of the tools available to you when you're dealing with SOLIDWORKS surfacing. So it's important that you first know these tools, how to use them, and also when to use them. Now, throughout the series, we've talked about all of these tools, specifically going over examples that kind of tailor to those. But in the real world, you need to know how to apply that to your situation. So what I like to do whenever I'm getting prepared for an exam is get as much information as possible that I can. We have a course at Infinite Skills talking about surfacing, where we actually go through the steps to model a steering wheel. Now, this type of thing is important because we're not only looking at the specific tools, but we're talking about tools and how they apply to real-world models. And that's where you're going to get hung up whenever you're talking about being tested on certain types of features and things like that. So I highly recommend you take a look at the SOLIDWORKS surfacing tools available and talked about in our surfacing program, where we go over modeling a steering wheel. After that, you have a few different options. Within SOLIDWORKS, from our help menu, you can go to tutorials. And there is actually a segment talking about CSWA and CSWP preparation. Now, when you select that, you have a few different options here. And there's different tutorials that talk about lofts, talk about multi-body parts. There's none that actually break down just surfacing, because you need to know a little bit more than that. So if we look at all tutorials, we can actually go down and take a look at surfaces. And then there's a tutorial that talks about just dealing with surfaces. So whenever you have these materials available to you from your help menu, I highly recommend that you go through those and understand this, because it's going to give you just another model, another set of tools that can help familiarize yourself with. So once you've taken a look at the help tutorials, then you really need to try to apply these tools to real world situations. The types of things that you might design on your own at work or at home, try to model those, try to use these surfacing techniques. One thing I do whenever I'm trying to learn a new tool or get familiar with a new tool is create a model and see how many different ways or how many different tools I can use to create certain geometry. So for instance, you could do an extruded surface, or you could maybe do a revolve, you could do lofts, you can do boundary surfaces, maybe create some boundaries and do a filled surface. So there are several different ways that you can create the same type of geometry using many different tools. And having that knowledge available to you before the exam is going to be really helpful. So just to kind of reiterate, you want to first have gone through this entire CD. You want to take a look at the help files available to you in SOLIDWORKS. You want to take a look at some of the other CDs we offer, such as modeling that steering wheel with the surfacing programs. And then after that, you can explore all kinds of resources that you have available. But I always recommend, no matter what you do, to play around on your own models, because then you'll be familiar with the tools on a better level, because you had to work through using those tools on your models rather than just going step by step and doing something that, somebody else told you in a video or written down for you. So the videos and the written tutorials are always good to get familiar with the tools. And then that way you can hopefully get the information you need to understand how the tools work and then apply them to your own models.